The people who vote for socialism are the ones who never lived it.
He doesn't have the legal authority to do half the things that he said he's going to do, and not promise to be Santa Claus and give everything for free.
When you say you want to shift the tax burden to whites, is that constitutional?
So violence is an artificial construction. Right. We have to be very clear.
He actually thinks that violent crime is just some sort of racist social construct.
Good luck with that.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, let's get at it. Mamdani, what in the world is going on? Is this a cautionary tale? Is this a harbinger of warning to the U.S. people? Like, look, you've gotten so far off the rails that you are now trying to elect somebody who thinks like this guy. He's so far to the left, even the left doesn't support him. His socialist ideas are so outlandish that even his own party doesn't support him. They hear this stuff, man, and they say, they don't understand, like what in the world's going on? He's talking about taxing the rich. He's talking about taxing until there's no more.
I have nothing.
That's insane. This is total lunacy. But is this what y'all deserve? Is this what we deserve? Is this what we deserve? Because we no longer even carry a semblance of the very basics of what, first of all, what America was about, but even more than that, just the basics understanding of like private property and personal freedoms. No, again, the ability to go out and make a gainful, an attempt to gainfully employ your services and provide for your family. Just some very basics. We don't have to get super deep into the weeds of economy or super deep into the weeds of culture and society. Just some very basic. Is this because we've neglected it? I don't know. Let's bring this in. Let's talk about it. Let's go.
Joining us now, two refugees who've lived through the horrors of socialism and communism. New Hampshire congressional candidate Lily Tong Williams, or what do you say to people who vote for socialism?
Well, the people who vote for socialism are the ones who never lived it, who never suffered from the hunger and poverty and the lack of freedom and police state. So those people should be educated about history better. That's failure of our American education system. Our kids don't know the history, and they bought into free stuff provided by government. That's how Mao sold socialism, communism to millions Chinese, and millions of them starving to death by his central planning socialist policies. So I'm running because I don't want this country become the country I left. And I don't want anybody to take away my gun rights. That's God-given rights. I will never compromise. Yes, I have seen the radical left wing of Democrat Party took over their voter bases, and that's one of the tactics they use. They use cultural Marxism, identity politics to divide and conquer. They control the media, social media, and schools, and cultural institutions, like take over some churches and nuclear families, and get the kids against their parents and walk away to authority figures. Those are very similar to what I saw under Mao's Cultural Revolution. That's why I'm warning people that we don't want to go down that way, because they sell you free stuff to get you buy into it. Once they totally disarm you and silence you and install police state, destabilize our country, then you will lose all your natural rights guaranteed by the founding fathers in the documentation called the independence, our constitution.
Housing policy.
All right, let's stop and think now. Now look, before you get in your feelings, before you push back, remember this woman actually came from a foreign country, a socialist country. Does she know what she's talking about? Does she have experiences that supersede your feelings and your thoughts and what you were taught in class? Does she have experiences that supersede that? Because one of the things that you keep saying is that lived experiences, she has a lived experience that I think we need to listen to, that we would do well to listen to what she's talking about. Come on, let's do it. Let's be honest. I think we got to listen to her. Let's go.
Policy document on Madman's official website talks about how he'd like to shift the tax burden to richer and whiter neighborhoods if he wins in November. And of course, the commies got a beef with capitalism.
Do you like capitalism?
No, I have many critiques of capitalism. And I think ultimately the definition for me of why I call myself a democratic socialist is the words of Dr. King decades ago. He said, call it democracy or call it democratic socialism. There must be a better distribution of wealth for all of God's children in this country. And that's what I'm focused on, is dignity and taking on income.
Okay. All right. If you're somebody that thinks that holds King up as some, dare I say, demigod, listen, your guy, Mamdani, is quoting King. Is that what King meant? Is Mamdani misrepresenting what King said? Or did King say in support would King say and support what Mamdani is supporting here? Just something to think about. I don't agree with King. I disagree with King wholeheartedly from the word go. Mamdani doesn't. And he's saying that he doesn't agree with capitalism because of King. Okay. Just something to think about.
Inequality.
But can the moderates slay the socialists? Michigan Senator Scotkin is dropping her alpha vision for the Dems. Watch.
Democrats have lost some of their alpha energy. They're looking for you to just show some fight and some planning and some, like, be the coach that's going to lead people from a losing record to a winning record.
Let me say this. The Democrat Party has totally, unequivocally, 100% lost the alpha male energy. They've lost it. The masculine energy, the toxic masculinity. They've lost all of that. The best that you can do now is wrangle in some men that don't know whether or not they're women, some beta males and simps, hyper masculine women, and the white savior complex people. Oh, and then black folk that are allow themselves to get browbeat by other black folk. But that's it. Men that want to be men are not listening to y'all anymore. Roland and Jamal and Al Sharpton and fill in the blanks. Nobody cares what y'all are talking about. Nobody cares anymore. The game is up. The sham that you've been for the last 30, 40, 50 years has now come home to roost. Nobody's listening to y'all anymore. So this lady right here saying they got to get out there and fight. Nobody cares because you're not going to be able to win. Your argumentation is flawed. Nobody wants this. Women that want men, that actually want families, that actually want to grow a legacy and leave something for the next generation, they're not studying what you're talking about. This is going to be a cultural shift of epic proportion. This is going to be an epic shift because the Christian mindset and the socialist mindset don't work. So there's going to be a ton of vocal, clear-minded Christians that are shunning this foolishness of the socialist idea. They're shunning the foolishness of this anti-capitalism, anti-family, anti-God, atheist idea. They're shunning it. They're not studying you. And please understand, the quiet majority is no longer the quiet majority. We've allowed you all to be the loud and boisterous minority for entirely too long. And now this, you can talk about all you want. Let me back it up a little bit and let her get a running start. You can talk about all you want, baby, but let me tell you right now, it is going to be a shellacking. If you thought last election was bad, wait till you see what happens this time. Let's go.
Democrats have lost some of their alpha energy. They're looking for you to just show some fight and some planning and some, like, be the coach that's going to lead people from a losing record to a winning record.
That's going to be so comical. I want to see how you plan to move from a losing to a winning record with what you're doing right now. Show me how, use me as an example. Convince me that I should follow your ideology. Let's go. That's going to be fun.
How are we going to do that and bring people along with you? And we don't do that.
While many on the left are rejoicing in Democrat socialist Zohran Mamdani's success in New York City mayoral primary, some Democrats are speaking out against his proposals. Among them is New York Congresswoman Laura Gillen, who says Mamdani is too extreme to lead the city.
I was pretty surprised, yes. Well, I just didn't think that New York would elect someone who's a self-proclaimed socialist to lead the city that is the global epicenter of capitalism. So I was very surprised, and I spoke out because first of all, my job is to advocate for my constituents. I'm gravely concerned that if he became mayor and implemented some of these policies, we're going to see an exodus from New York. It's going to crater our economy. It's going to drive up taxes that will be passed on to my constituents, and it will destroy our state's economy as well. He ran a campaign based on a bunch of promises that he cannot deliver on. Right. He doesn't have the legal authority to do half the things that he said he's going to do.
Let's stop for there for a second. I want to talk about that. Why some of the things that Mamdani was promising, they sounded crazy from the word go. Get rid of the police, city-run grocery stores. Those just sound insane from the word go. But why did y'all accept that? Why did you embrace that? What about your own self, call New Yorkers? What inside you resonated with that? What was it? What was it? Free transportation? Oh, really? Like, just think about, like, how do you, if you're paying for the transportation now and it looks like it does, it runs like it does, how in the world is it going to get better if it's free? What about that really resonated with you and caused you to say, yeah, that makes perfect sense? I think this is an honest discussion that Democrats in New York need to honestly have. What about me resonated with this craziness? Ask better questions. This is not realistic. It isn't. New York didn't become what it is on this idea. So how in my goodness, how in the Lord's name is it going to become better on something that's so diametrically opposed to what made it as good, as great as it is now? Come on now, let's go.
You know, it shows that he either misrepresented what he can do to the constituents of this city,
he lied,
or he doesn't have a fundamental understanding of what the role of mayor is. You cannot raise taxes if you are the mayor of New York City. He sits in the state assembly. He should know that. And the governor has already signaled that she is not going to approve this tax hike that he is proposing. I
think he knows that. I think he knows that. And this is, again, what I'm saying. What about his ideas resonated with the residents of New York? Y'all need to have that conversation, because if what he was saying, it sounded crazy when he said it. The governor said, you can't do that. And he already knew that he couldn't do that. Why was he lying to y'all? Why did y'all embrace it? This is an honest discussion that you all New Yorkers need to come on up here to the front of the church. Let's go ahead and have this conversation and talk about it. Why were y'all so greedy? Why were you so angry? Why were you so willing to be lied to that you would literally elect somebody who not only is lying to you, but is, I mean, just, this is some damnable lies that he's giving y'all. He's selling y'all wolf tickets, and y'all knew that they weren't there. You knew it wasn't real. Why did y'all embrace it? Let's go. Let's finish up.
Doesn't have the authority to do that. And the way forward for my party is to find concrete solutions, to find ways to lower the cost of living for everyday Americans, and not promise to be Santa Claus and give everything for free when you can't actually do that, because nothing is free. Everything has a price tag attached to it.
When you say you want to shift the tax burden to whites, is that constitutional?
Well, on Donald Trump, he has reacted to this result while he was on Air Force One this morning flying back to the US. So he's written on Truth Social. It's finally happened. The Democrats have crossed the line. Zohran Mamdani, a 100% communist lunatic, has just won the Dem primary and is on his way to becoming mayor. We've had radical lefties before, but this is getting a little ridiculous. He looks terrible. His voice is grating. He's not very smart. He's got AOC +3. Dummies all. Whew.
But beyond that, President Trump himself could actually invoke the Communist Control Act of 1954 to stop this radically progressive terrorist-supporting communist dead in his tracks and keep him from ever becoming New York City's mayor. And if you want to know why shutting this guy down immediately is so important, take a look at this. Mamdani plans to pay for all of his insane communist policies by hiking taxes on, quote, richer and whiter neighborhoods, exposing his blatant anti-white racism. Mamdani also plans, if elected, to release all of New York City's violent criminals out of prison and back onto the streets. Take a look.
Oftentimes, we've even found as legislators, when we go into these courts, the term violent crime is even used when people are stealing packages. Violent crime is even used when people are accused of burglary and there happens to be a housing unit in that same dwelling. So violence is an artificial construction. And we have to be very clear that what is happening here with these district attorneys, that is violence. That is violence of the highest degree.
Ladies,
there's got to be a, you know what?
What did he say?
There's got to be I'm pretty sure there's a Batman meme I can think of to fit this. Releasing all of the criminals. And again, not everybody who's in jail with violent, being accused of being a violent criminal was stealing a package or just a burglary. This is pretty wild. And the fact that New Yorkers fell for it, y'all got to have a conversation. Y'all need to come on up here to the front of the church and y'all need to talk to your fellow New Yorkers because y'all fell for this. I mean, this dude is saying some pretty bombastic things and you all went hook, line, and sinker right along with it. Come on now. This is insane. All right, let's get done.
Ladies and gentlemen, very clearly, this guy is absolutely insane. He actually thinks that violent crime is just some sort of racist social construct.
So he's saying, I mean, this is incredible. He's vowed to kick the, quote, fascist ICE out of New York City, okay? So how do you intend to deal with that? Because I would guess there are going to be a lot of criminals and Iranian cells and whatnot in New York City. The job's not done there.
Good luck with that.
When people ask why I'm against the candidacy of Zohran Mamdani for New York City mayor, it's for a number of reasons. Let's just go through them in no particular order. First, the issue of government-run grocery stores, free childcare, free busing, that category of stuff. Mamdani had the opportunity as an assemblyman to make all of that stuff happen because he had the power of the purse as an assemblyman. As the New York City mayor, he's not really able to give free stuff so easily unless Albany acts in many of those instances. So the question is, why didn't he get any of that done as an assemblyman? And on the government-run grocery store point, when has government ever been good at retail or customer service experiences? Has anybody been to the DMV recently? And while I'm all for those things like free busing, free childcare, that's crazy, great, and taxing the rich more so they pay their more fair share, the way that Mamdani actually wants to go about doing all this stuff is very opaque and unclear. Taxing the rich, for example, would also require Albany to weigh in, and it's very unlikely that the assemblymen across New York State are going to raise those taxes. Economic policies aside, when you start to get into social and policing topics, Mamdani is very weak on this. He was previously a very strong proponent of the defund police movement, and he was pretty extreme in that regard. Many old tweets of his advocate for a complete defunding of the NYPD. He's since softened his tone, admittedly.
So what do y'all think? What do you think? Is Mamdani, well, first of all, does he have a chance? Comment down below. Does he actually have a chance at all of winning? Now, I mean, I was surprised that he got this far, but tell me, I mean, there was the deck was stacked in a certain way for sure. That kind of it opened the door for him to get elected or get at least a nomination. But what do y'all think? Do you think he has a chance? And if he does have a chance, what do you think he's going to actually do? If you don't think he has a chance, tell me who you think is better, who you think is going to have a chance to defeat him. Because I mean, a lot of people talk about him. I don't hear people talking about who he's going to run against. So his name is getting out there just in that, whether it be pro or against, his name is out there. I don't hear a lot of pro or against anybody running against him. So let me know what you think. I appreciate y'all. This has been a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to it. Praying for y'all up in New York. Come on, New York. Don't let me down. Don't let me down, New York. Let me know what y'all think. I appreciate you down in the comments. Give me your 2 cents. Thank you so much for liking the video as well. Thank you so much for subscribing and helping us get closer to our goal of 50,000 subscribers. Looking forward to rock with you all real soon. So until then, great.